Why design patterns are important. I first learned patterns as a means of communicating a problem to another developer. You may very well already know how to solve a particular problem, and it might follow the structure of a pattern, but it is better to have a common vocabulary that you can explain to someone what that problem is. Patterns are an abstract topic. It isn't something that you look at the concept and then have it memorized from there. Some patterns are more easily applied to particular problems than another. You should revisit the pattern material, whether it be this course or a book or something else. It is amazing how your perception of a pattern will change after gaining more experience with it. You might come away with a different understanding of it after applying it. A lot of people have used the singleton, and they think that they have used design patterns. There is much more than just a singleton pattern out there. Patterns broken out into 3 groups. The groups are creational, structural, and behavioral. This course is going to focus on the patterns classified under the behavioral group. Behavioral patterns are focused on how objects interact with one another. Oftentimes, we're trying to be more loosely coupled, and that leads to us just looking at behavioral patterns. The behavioral group contains the most patterns out of the Gang of 4 patterns. We are going to cover the chain of responsibility, the command, interpreter, iterator, mediator, memento, observer, state, strategy, template method, and finally, the visitor pattern. To facilitate how you learn the patterns, we're going to go over an overview of what the pattern is, the concepts that you would look for when choosing the pattern, the design of that pattern, look at a live example from the Java API. Then we're going to go through and do a demo, which you will ultimately end up coding your own pattern in. Look at the pitfalls of what this pattern has, contrast that with another pattern that you're maybe more familiar with, and then finally summarize what we've learned about that pattern. Prerequisites for this course are quite simple. I am using Java 7, but it should work with any of the more recent versions of Java. And I am doing all my examples in Spring STS, but the functionality that I'm utilizing is actually the same as Eclipse. Independent of one another, we're going to go through them sequentially how we described in the what we're going to cover section, which is the same order that's defined by the Gang of 4 itself. The first pattern we're going to look at is the chain of responsibility pattern.